So you've made the decision. We're going to go from a pair of these up to one of these. I'm going to show you how to do it nice and easy. All right, so this is the car that we've already done the upgrade from the Elite and the REM over to the R5. If you want to find out some more information about what this engine and the specs of this particular car and the records that it's broken, check out the link above. Now, it's definitely worth noting that the owner has broken PBs, Australian records, and their own personal goals and achievements with this car, with this system. So now that the goalposts have moved and they're trying to do bigger and better things, the owners decided to make the upgrade over to the R5. A couple of things worth noting of why the owner wanted to upgrade to the new unit. We need a couple more inputs. We've used all 20 analog voltage inputs on these two units, so we get a couple more with this unit. So this is one reason for the upgrade. A couple of strategies to get the car down the track faster will allow us to do this. We can pretty much go out of the box with any sort of functions and tables, and this will allow the car to do what we want it to do. Upgrading from the original switch panel that was mounted up on the roof in this car over to the new NEXUS keypad frees up a lot more inputs that we didn't have before. So with a CAN keypad that we've got, this allows 8 more inputs that we don't have to tie up in the actual physical ECU connectors. Moving over to the NTK sensors for the methanol will also help get more accurate data in the data logging, which is also more powerful than the R5. So with over 120 wires moving from one system into another system, it can seem very, very daunting. But I assure you, it's actually not that hard. I'm going to show you a really quick way of assigning those new wires that you had over into the new one. So let's talk about some of the tools we're going to need to get the job done. We need a good quality set of tapes just to keep wiring bundles together while we're moving things around, just so you can keep on top of things. Some wiring strippers, crimpers for your ECU pins, and a good quality set of side cutters. I've also got a set of braid from the Haltech web store. This will make it very, very easy to transition over from what you have over to where you're going to be. So this will help keep things very, very neat and efficient, and it'll make the job a lot easier. The plug and pin set was bought with the R5 unit, and that way we can help transition every pin over into the new wiring harness for the R5. The keypad was also purchased with this R5, and this will plug in by CAN. Makes it very, very easy just to set it all up and get it programmed to do what we want to do in the R5. A set of shore locks comes with the R5 unit, and a good battery lug crimper will also be needed to do these connectors. Importing the Elite and REM map into your R5 is relatively straightforward. We open up the NSP software, we go up to File, click on Import, we pick the latest version of the map that you are using in your REM and Elite ECU, and then select Import. Once we import the map, there are a few inputs and outputs that may need to be reconfigured, as it is a completely different ECU system. We'll start our R5 conversion by removing the ignition outputs from our main harness and moving them across into our new R5 loom. Next, we'll pull out 8 primary injector triggers and we'll move them across into the new loom. Now the secondaries. All 8 trigger wires are going to come out of the REM, and we're going to move them across into the R5 loom as well. Next, the analog voltage inputs from the Elite 2500 get removed, separating the signal grounds for all the shielded inputs, and we'll move them across to the new loom now. Next, we pull all the analog voltage inputs out of the REM, and we move these across to inputs 11 to 20 on the D connector. With the new analog voltage allocations that come from the REM module, we're going to make special note that number 1 now becomes number 11, REM input number 2 becomes 12, number 3 becomes 13, and so on, right through to analog 20. As you can see, it doesn't take a very long time to move a lot of these pins over to their new pin allocations on the R5 pinout. It's taken roughly an hour since we started, and we've already done 50% of the job. So let's tackle the next lot and we'll put them into the new loom. The next tricky and slightly daunting part is the crank sensor, the cam sensor, and all of the digital or SPI inputs that come from the 2500 and moving them over into the R5 loom. Removing and separating signal grounds as shields may be very important in this part of the task. So please take special note when removing, as you may need to add these back in later. The next task is to pull out digital pulsed outputs 1 through to 5, as well as the stepper motor outputs that were being used in this loom, and moving them across into connector A. Next, we tackle the digital pulsed inputs. We're going to move the SPIs across into the R5 according to their numbers. So number 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the 2500 go straight across into 1, 2, 3, 4 on the R5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 from the REM move across to 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the R5. The next task is to move the 5-volt supply wires across into the new loom, as well as our 8-volt wire, our sensor grounds, and our battery grounds, which are going to supply our CAN ground, as well as shields for all of our digital pulsed inputs. As we remove our 3 signal grounds from our Elite 2500 and the REM module, we need to condense these 3 signal ground pins down into 1, carefully stripping the ends of these 3 signal grounds and putting on a nice solid crimp. We can condense these down into 1 wire that goes down into our R5 that we heat shrink neatly. We do the same for the 3 signal grounds that come from the REM. The 2 pink switched ignition wires that turn on the 2 units get condensed down into 1 wire. That gets placed inside the ignition input pin. There is a battery supply wire that comes out of pin 26 on connector A, and we power up the ignition switch through a simple toggle switch. However, if you have a power supply which is switching the switched ignition wire on, you may leave it in place. The input and the output that was called the watchdog that communicated the 2 units together can now be removed. A few more items that we can remove to make the loom a little bit neater. We've got extra CAN high and low wires that can be removed, as well as the ignition power and the ground that is supplied to that connector, as it is no longer needed. The spare ignition switch wire that went to the REM can now also be removed to make it a little bit neater. After moving nearly 80% of our loom across into the new connector, I've finally had to crimp at least one wire. I'm shortening the ignition switch as it was excessively long, so to make a neater, nicer result, I'm just crimping it as I shortened the wire a little bit. As I remove the solid state relay, as this is no longer required, we're going to move the injector, ignition, a starter motor, and a trans brake over into the new DTP connector that comes from the Haltech PDM that is in the R5. The two sensor supply and CAN wires get joined together and then pinned into high current output number 1. As the R5 already has a battery ground on the top of the unit, I can remove the battery ground supply wires that used to go to the 2500 in the REM, and I can use these pins with wires on them and place them into the R5 loom to supply grounds to the CAN and the shields. I now go back through the loom and find the old shield wires that used to go to signal ground and the old CAN supply that used to go to signal ground, and I now join those with a crimp to the new battery ground wires that we've just recycled and reused in the new loom. Some felt tape that goes on the end of the connectors to make sure that everything stays in place ensures that I can add and remove anything that I need to do in the future. But if you're confident, please heat shrink your loom as it makes for a nice, neat finish. As I tape up the rest, it's ready to throw it in the car and see how we went. So this is where the Elite and the REM used to live. This is where the old loom used to curl around and plug into those two units. So I've simply unbolted those, taken out the solid state relay that used to control the power for the two units, and bolted in my new R5 units with the bolts that come supplied. Fits really, really well, nice and easy, and the loom was just the right length, so I could basically undo the heat shrink that was covering that loom, then re-sleeve those wires so I could put the new AVIs, injectors, ignition outputs and outputs for solenoids, boost control and pressure sensors and all that sort of stuff that was in the car already, and just redo it into the new connector set that we got with the R5. So in our new connector set for the R5, we've got A, B, C and D. C and D are very, very similar on the REM connector, but they're actually keyed a little bit different. That stops you plugging in the C and D where the A and B connectors are. So it makes it really, really foolproof. So we need to swap over to the new connectors and not reuse the old ones. It makes it really easy to swap the whole system over. We've also got this new DTP connector, which comes with that connector set. And this is a very high current output connector. So we're going to use this for starter motor, the fuel pump prime in this car. We're going to use this for the trans brake output as well as the injector power for this car's injector setup. Conventionally in a car where we have an ignition switch, we turn that on and off to power up the NEXUS R5 system. I haven't done that in this case because we have a battery isolator on this 16-volt car. I've looped the battery and ignition switch together so that the battery pull switch at the back of the car turns this whole system on and off. Because I've linked that ignition switch in the back of the car all I need to do now is use this battery post, which is up here, which is being fed power from the back where the battery is. That cable comes all the way up to the front of the car to this common stud. This common stud will then feed the starter motor. Now our NEXUS R5 unit, our coils, and it also used to feed the old switch panel power up there, which used to then split power out to wherever it needed to be. We've now removed that old switch panel and made way for our new keypad, which talks via CAN to the R5 unit. So that makes it very, very easy to get this power sorted for this new system. It's as simple as crimping on our new battery terminal for the R5. That satisfying click, which tells you it's on really tight, nice and solid. And the negative as well, our NEXUS is now powered up. All we need to do is make sure the pinout is right and just go over it and double check it, because measure twice, cut once. Always good to make sure that we've got the pinout exactly right, so that when we insert it into our ECU, we can make sure that everything works first time. So speaking of the old switch panel, I've actually got it here. This used to be mounted up on these brackets up in the top of the car, and there was a big battery power cable that came all the way down and found its way down to this main stud. I've removed all of this because all of this is unnecessary now, which is great. So we used to have a starter, we used to have an ignition switch to turn the whole system on and off. We could still utilize something like this, which is great, but we're not going to. We're just going to keep it a little bit simple in this car now. There was a fuel pump prime here, so we could physically turn that on and off. There was the light system that turned the tail lights and the gauge lights on in this car also, with a small interior light that was mounted up here. I've replaced that now with a giant strip light, so it's almost daytime in here now, which is fantastic. So this goes in the bin along with all these fuses. Instead of fuses now, we've got green and red lights, which tell us when that fuse is tripped. It's now as simple as turning that system off and back on again to reset that fuse. So we've got our ECU plugs, which we've re-terminated now for the new system. So we're going to plug those in, and then we'll power up the unit, and we'll see how that all looks and if it's all going to work for us. I'm just throwing these plugs in very, very quickly. I haven't done this very neatly, but I've just plugged them in very, very quickly just to see if this is all going to work for us, just like we thought. So we'll turn the battery switch on and see if it all comes to life. Once you've made sure you've swapped all your wires over into the right place, you've configured your inputs and outputs in the right sort of way, you should then have a working R5 system that's pretty much ready for the racetrack with your existing map. So let's give it a go.